Welcome everyone. We got a Group D matchup coming for you tonight. It's going to be Esper51, the 1v1 king, or so he hopes to be, versus MECHNIGE1. Esper is, I believe, 1-0 in this group so far. He may not have played a match yet. I'm having trouble keeping track of it all without our spreadsheets put together yet. Nigel is 0-2 right now. He's played some pretty close series versus both Filthy and against Brain Fart. Against Kanye tonight, I think he also lost one to Evolution. So I think Nigel's coming into this 0-3. But he's had a lot of scrappy games. He's picked up some wins. Esper, I think, comes in as a favorite as the known 1v1 player of Phantom Dust. However, he's shown weakness before, went out in the quarterfinals of the last tournament. We'll have to see if Nigel can pick up some wins here. Our bands are Highway and Refinery. We'll begin on Palace. And I have made a grave mistake. I have to jump in the hole, which honestly might be fairly quick. As we see Esper moving in, Lightning Sword misses. Esper playing a different character than he normally does, which is also interesting. Playing as No tonight. Has the spawn right below Nigel. Esper yet to really show any of his hand. We see the purple aura and a green aura out of Nigel, so we know we've got Faith out of Esper. We already saw the lightning sword out of Nigel, so we know he's got the nature, plus the green aura, double assurance. Esper leaps over that sword just barely. Playing very conservatively so far. Likely holding on to at least one or two flash holes there. Doesn't seem to want to block that ice sword or that lightning sword yet. Overwrites one. Moving in now with 3 attacks. Nigel looks to put a little distance between himself and Esper, holding onto a green. Could be perhaps a stimulate. He's got a purple in hand as well. Fire Gehenna is going to connect, and the Glacial Wall not sufficient. And this time, ooh, throws a lightning blade point blank, and Esper doesn't react quickly enough. Entangle thrown out. Oh goodness! Fire Gehenna left and right. Esper powering his way through Nigel's shields and health bar. Now frozen. Nigel trying to figure out what else he needs to do here. I feel like that entangle is not very useful for this 1v1. Ice Sword connects though. Gonna give him a little bit of room, giving Esper a taste of his oh so beloved medicine. Esper known for frequently playing arsenals with 2 and 3 Ice Swords in them. In fact, known for playing those arsenals and almost no others. See him hanging on to the entangle, which I think is a bad move considering the spawn and that he's against the jumper. Now overwrites. Picks up another attack. Esper playing a close game here. Doesn't have any shields. As Stormblade could be troublesome. As Nigel gives up. Positioning on the stairs there. And a point blank Fire Gehenna will finish it for Esper. Game 1 in his favor. Which takes us to Panorama. Waiting to see what Nigel will bring out here, looking to counter Esper. Used to seeing a very rush-heavy style out of Esper, but we see him playing a more slow and methodical, not to the same level I'm used to seeing out of Esper. As the game was somewhat close there. MECHNIGE1 with the tools there to have punished Esper pretty hard. And did a fairly good job of it, but wasn't able to close it out. But normally we're used to seeing a lot of the blazing, healing waters, and ice ores at Esper, and we're not seeing that so far. Esper spawning out here in the open, only one aura, but MECHNIGE1 not doing much better back in the corner there with only 2 himself. Looks like Esper is still stuck at 1. Holding on to 2 yellows, and a yellow aura indicates he's got optic and is probably holding on to level amps or boost mines there with that really bad aura start. Gonna have to see what he decides to overwrite next. He continues to not draw any aura, which is a tragedy for Esper. This is MECHNIGE1's time to shine if he can get in there and be aggressive, as Esper has absolutely nothing he can do until he reaches 3 aura. And he continues to overwrite one at a time right now, agonizing over what he has in his hand. Erases the shield. Looks like Nigel is going to come on the offensive now. 7 aura, 3 attacks. Esper is shieldless and has no aura. Still unable to get that 3rd aura particle. Esper, desperate at this point to get the aura he needs. Nigel looking to put some pressure down. A 3rd yellow in Esper's hand now. Whatever plan Esper had with this many off colors, we may not get to see it truly come to fruition, as he's had to overwrite so much already this game. Esper playing a little ring around the rosy with the stairs here. Nigel could probably do a better job of putting the pressure on him with this flame sword. 1 ground laser wraps around, does not connect. Esper now at 3 aura. Gets to use some of these level amps. Relearn. 3 more yellows. Not sure I understand what he's going for with this many here. Turbulence. Looks like he has orb. Violent change. Guess this is a pop deck that he's going for. Take him a while to get there. Nigel really ought to just be in there with that flame sword and all over Esper. Has allowed him to recover from a very poor start. Recalls coming out brings Esper back to nearly full capsule capacity. Nigel not laying down the pressure he needs to in order to defeat this kind of popping deck. Esper, having been given this freedom in a very good spot now, gets tagged with the blaster. A shield and what's likely a violent change in hand. Esper wants to clear his own bench before he pops, most likely. Gets caught by the flame sword. Shield in hand, still hasn't used it. Continues to take some damage. Nigel needs to keep this pressure on and stay on Esper if he wants to have a chance of winning this. Esper still running away. Nigel giving him space, allowing him to use recalls, allowing him to use the violent changes. Esper wants to go back down to his bench once again, now looking to use the violent change. 2 shields in hand. Gets caught by the backswing of that flame sword. Jumps up on there. Absorb energy now. Nigel waiting to fire once he uses either the recall. So guard. No aura in order to follow that up. Esper playing a very dangerous game as Nigel just needs 2 or 3 more hits to finish him off here. Playing it very safe with the absorb energy and the guard. Barely blocks that one. Iron Skin is a lifesaver for Esper at this point. Nigel needs to find a way around that iron skin. Breaks it. There we go. That's what he needed. He can wrap around guard. He can sword through absorb energy, but he could not handle the iron skin. But now that he's broken it with the blaster, he's in good position to keep up this offense. Flash hole gonna take the blaster. It's all about the flame sword now. I wouldn't run back to base. I would just keep the pressure on and do my best to finish this out before Esper is able to continue to pop. But he does go back to base. And he's wasting time here as well. Doesn't seem to have really picked up anything new. It's a shame. Esper, with this overriding that he's had to do and possibly bad recall returns, may not have the violent change recall combo he needs to finish him off. He's now almost as low on capsules as MECHNIGE1 is. Does have the recall and the relearn, so that he'll get himself back going, but Nigel is having time to look for more offense, but only Aura is spawning. And the more time he gives Esper, the more time Esper has to set up the eventual pop out. Not the cleanest pop out run out of Esper. And MECHNIGE1, unsure what he's doing right now. Taking a very long time just to overwrite one aura particle. Needs to be more decisive here. Esper continues to overwrite, yet to find any of his violent changes once again. Nigel awaiting his last skill, and now the next violent change drawn will pop him out. Picks up a purple, which seems very curious to me as to why he would have waited so long for a purple. Possibly a turbulence. Okay, so he does get rid of 2 yellows from Esper, but if he gets a violent change, that's going to be game. And there it is. With the respect return to lobby, Esper will take game 2. Gave him too much time to pick up more shields, and once he had that second iron skin, there was nothing that MECHNIGE1 could do in order to continue that. Bit of a barn burner there, but also somewhat sloppy. Not a fan of that pop deck out of Esper. I do realize he got Aura screwed and had a slow start, but I didn't like the execution of it very much once it got running either. Nigel almost able to eke out that win, but just was not putting the pressure down necessary in order to counter. And that brings us to City. Esper with a 2-0 game lead. Looking to close out the series. Both of them spawning here in these open spawns. Esper with Tiger Strength on already, and possibly a Blazing Bullet or Flame Sword already moving in. Loses the Flame Sword to an Iron Skin. We see him return to base now. MECHNIGE1 at 1 aura had just the only thing he could have done to counter. Looks like he might be running that memory lapse deck. You have to see where he decides to place it. Whether or not he'll hang it this time, or if he just wants to place it again for the attrition. Lays it down over here. It'll be real easy for Esper to get to that one. Nigel not with a lot of aura. Return to nature used instead by Esper. Thor's hammer blocked by Fortress. Gonna lay down another memory lapse. I think he really should at least put it on a sign or somewhere difficult to reach this time. Places it right in his spawn. Esper just going to hover. He puts it right where Esper can sit and wait for this to finish. Esper loses his Tiger Strength and his Fortress. So he does get a number of attacks out of Esper. Or a number of moves off of Esper with that memory lapse. Now down to whatever his second shield was and just that hyper kick. Picks up another Tiger Strength. And a heat. moving back in with a 5 damage hyper kick. Glacier Wall. Easy counter to the reincarnation. Lays down another memory lapse. Still puts it in a really easy to grab place. Not as easy to punish if you don't at least put it on a sign or up high somewhere. 10 damage connects from the Miramasa blade. Very good move from Nigel. Ooh, that's gonna hurt right there. And that's going to be game, most likely. Right there with the combo. 11 damage from the hyper kick and backdraft bullet. After grabbing that environmental, Esper is able to execute and finish the series, and it will be a 3-0 for Esper.